press conference where we will present the winners of this competition. And in June next year, on the World Environment Day, on 5th June, we will have the auction, and we hope to have at least 1 million euros revenue. The second resource mobilization innovation for ACE are voluntary carbon footprint compensation crypto stamps based on the leadership of the Austrian post authorities, which have introduced crypto stamps. And they are not related to a cause or anything, but still each crypto stamp costs €9.90, and they've had in June 100,000 crypto stamps, and they have been sold out the first day. And so we now think that if we connect this idea of the digital collectible with climate action footprint compensation payments, because the aim is everyone becoming climate neutral, but on average the European citizen has 9 tons of carbon footprint per year. So there should be somehow introduced a new ethical standard that people would invest in the capacity of the local and global community to handle the consequences of this carbon footprint by paying 50 euros per ton at the beginning, and this would mean 450 euros per person per year. They would invest in the local community and in the global community, in the global commons, global public goods frameworks. And we are working with ICLEI on implementing this. And for instance, if a city which has climate neutrality goals or which has declared climate emergency says to its citizens, let's start this, let's pool together resources. And if 10,000 citizens agree and start doing this, and then they can, based on this NFT structure, they can channel the funding towards their community, to favorite projects or thematic communities or a favorite project in Africa or wherever. Then we would have, with 10,000 people compensating their footprint, 4.5 million euros for structures of companies or associations, and so it's not possible. But with blockchain technology, we can develop new forms of collective, collaborative governance, and we are setting up a United Citizens Organization for Action for Climate Empowerment, organized as a blockchain-based quasi-international organization for transparent and participatory allocation of resources. And we will announce more details on the 10th of November here in a separate press conference, and this will offer also opportunities for global citizens to invest in their future by investing in good life tokens, and for social impact investors to invest in technology programs of this structure. And the potential beneficiaries are, on the one hand, the global intellectual, technological, and institutional infrastructure for ACE, ACE Marketplace, and Tim will tell more about this because he is a thematic leader in this field. And then potentially also support for a COP27 ACE non-party stakeholder youth engagement and digital innovation program. We will hear also from Emmanuel, the ACE focal point from Ghana later, that we have taken first steps in this. ACE Youth Fund would be a possibility. And here are the contact details of myself and also Talieh Wögerbauer, the ACE AT coordinator at the Austrian Federal Ministry for Climate Action. And with this, I conclude my presentation and hand over to Kate from the University of Melbourne and the project Monitoring and Evaluating Climate Communication and Education. Kate's research examines climate change education policy, and her background is in the environment and education sectors, working in government and non-government organizations. Kate, please take the floor. We are happy to have you as partner for this event today.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Miro. And let's wait for my slides to come up. Yeah. Thank you. And thanks for the opportunity to share how monitoring and evaluation can help to advance global climate literacy and action as part of the new ACE work program. Monitoring and evaluation is crucial for advancing climate communication and education and for any new ACE work program. The need to strengthen monitoring and reporting has been recognised by the co-facilitators of the subsidiary body for implementation in their informal note. M&E has also been recognised during the ACE activity series leading into COP26 and has been the subject of very rich discussion this week in Glasgow. So why is it so important as part of the new ACE work program? Well, monitoring enables target setting, benchmarking and tracking progress. It enables transparency of investment and efforts so that policymakers and other organisations can direct their efforts towards increasing ambition on ACE. Evaluation enables deepening understanding of quality ACE around the world, including understanding psychological barriers and social norms and regional and cultural considerations. The MECCE project, the Monitoring and Evaluating Climate Communication and Education project, is seeking to increase the quality and quantity of climate communication and education globally. The project is supporting international and national policymakers to increase ambition on ACE with evidence-based insights and recommendations. It is a global research policy-making collaboration of more than 80 partners, including the UNFCCC, UNESCO and the GEM report, scholars and a wide range of experts. It is a 6-year project funded by the Social Sciences and Humanities Council of Canada. Excuse me. Sorry. Key insights from the MECCE project research so far are outlined in our new policy brief and are available to support the redevelopment of the work program. The first group of insights have been drawn from 20 country profiles developed in partnership with the GEM report. Insights include that the inclusion of ACE content in countries' laws, strategies and policies is often limited and lacking in depth. That climate change communication frameworks often identify marginalised and vulnerable groups as priorities, and that primary and secondary education on ACE often focus mostly on cognitive learning. The second area of insight relates to the project's work on indicator development. Over the past year, the team, working with partners around the world, has been identifying possible data sources for indicator development. The team has reviewed about 125 data sets, which has been narrowed to 32 data sets of potentially sufficient quality to support indicator development. Through this process, the team has identified that current data gaps are most pronounced in lower income countries, that data availability across the ACE elements is uneven, with training and public access to information having the least available data. And collaboration is key, including with youth and indigenous groups to generate greater data diversity and to further ACE action. A third area of insight draws from the team's syntheses of the research literature and relates to understanding what constitutes quality ACE in different country contexts. Insights include that addressing psychological barriers and social norms and going beyond teaching people about climate change to supporting them to act, that is transformative education, is what empowers action. That tailoring ACE to audiences furthers action. That climate change impacts and broader public discourses often catalyse interest in ACE. And that technology availability influences ACE content and approaches in varied regional contexts. In working towards the next work program, the MECCE project calls for member party support for coordinated monitoring and evaluation. To this end, the MECCE project is supporting global collaboration through our regional hubs, a new call for proposals for funded case studies that my colleague Alex Wilson will be talking about a little later on, an interactive data platform, webinars, blogs and learning institutes. We invite policymakers, focal points and other ACE representatives to contact the team to discuss insights from the MECCE research collaboration and monitoring and evaluation in country contexts. And we welcome the opportunity to support the development and implementation of the next ACE work program. Thank you, Miro.
Dear Kate, thank you very much for your presentation. Really, the MECCE project is a flagship initiative in rethinking and reorganizing ACE, because we need to know where we stand, we need to have data, and only if we have this data and this insights and knowledge, we will be able to manage ACE more effectively in the future. Thanks, and we will hear also from your colleague, Alex Wilson, in a few minutes, who will join us virtually, but really great work that you are doing. And with this, we come to another ACE leader in the non-party stakeholder world, Timothy Damon, the founder and president of Global Youth Development Institute, who is also the co-chair of the ACE working group of Yango, used to be also Yango, the youth constituency within the UNFCCC process, co-focal point when we've started our cooperation back in 2016, and he's also the acting co-focal point of ECOS, Education, Communication, Outreach Stakeholder Community, which is a partner of the ACE-AT project. Tim, please tell us about your work and your perspectives on ACE.
Great, thank you, Miro. As you can see, I have quite a few hats that I wear, which makes an introduction a little bit tricky, but very happy to be here. Thank you, everyone, for joining us remotely. And certainly this is a very important day. We are, of course, here on the Youth and Public Empowerment Day as a broader context for this event, an important topic. And how we have finance improved for young people in these activities is one of the really key demands that we see coming out of this process, and relates to the ACE marketplace that Miro alluded to earlier. And of course, we very much appreciate the support that Austria is providing through the ACE-AT project. But of course, it needs to be of a much larger scale, and we can't only rely upon our dear colleagues in Austria. We need other parties, and especially the private sector and other sources, philanthropy, corporate, to come in and really elevate this ACE financing to where it needs to be. And that is the purpose of this ACE marketplace. Give a platform where those who have the projects that need the funding, and especially young people who often struggle to access other sources of finance, are able to be linked up with all these potential sources. And then you can have the key champions of the process and other actors go out and actively recruit those companies to come back in and provide those resources where they're needed. And that's going to really unlock the potential of all the climate action under ACE, but especially of youth. And this is going to be the best return on investment I think that we're going to be able to get, in terms of, you're not going to implement the Paris Agreement or save human civilization from the climate crisis without building capacity, without doing training, without fully engaging the public, all the 6 elements of ACE. And of course, having the international cooperation on that. And this demand for a marketplace is part of the sets of recommendations that have come about from ECOS, that have come about from Yango, especially in the most recent event that we had from the ACE Working Group this year, which was a virtual version of the Action for Climate Empowerment Youth Forum, building upon the success of the in-person youth forum of the first time we had it in Bonn in 2018. And along with this, again, we've echoed the call for strong monitoring and evaluation, for clear indicators, because it's too difficult right now to know what is going on globally, even nationally or subnationally, trying to implement these activities. And so we desperately need a common platform, which would not only support the monitoring and evaluation and reporting, but also be part of implementing ACE. Suppose you want to put a project on the marketplace, you're a young person, but you don't know how to do this. Well, who can you go to that's going to build your capacity? Well, have this global platform, and then this is synergizing with the marketplace and synergizing with these other criteria. So all of these proposals would really work together to get us driving in the direction that we know that we need to go in. And there are some more, very technical recommendations as well that we have for this process, because of course we desperately need a strong decision on ACE from COP26. We need a new work program to guide us in the coming 10 years, which it will be much stronger than what we saw for the last 8 years, which, while parties attempted to implement it, it is very fair to say they did not go nearly far enough. Many recommendations that were included were not realized by very many parties. A few bright spots here and there, but on the whole, we need to move much farther. And right now, little interjection from the negotiations, it's it's deadlocked right now in terms of parties trying to figure out how they're going to be more ambitious to move forward this time. And all of the non-party stakeholders are really pushing on this and bringing the proposals in, to help them. So there's no excuse, parties. You're not alone in this. We're helping you to do your job, and the young people and all of society are demanding this as well as supporting. So these are really the key things that we need to see happen. There should be an action plan, for example. There should be a task force. These are the more technical elements of this process that would be structures that would help us to move forward. And what we need at the very least, keeping in mind the difficulties of this COP and how extra challenging it is for parties to be able to meet and come to effective agreements, to consensus, we need to see at least that we leave Glasgow with a pathway toward elaborating these further elements. There's no excuse to not at least agree on the framework that will get us to these places we need to go, even if we can't quite get there right here and now, as much as we need to. And with this, again, we see there's lots of strikes going on today in Glasgow for the Youth Day. The youth voice is very strong, and we're doing our best as well here on the inside to channel that into the process and to make this not only about just COP26 or just Glasgow, but this really is part of the systemic work that we're doing with IAAI, with ECOS, with ACT, with GLOCHA, with GYDI, with all of these amazing partners, with MECCE project partners, all of us together, and we encourage you as well out there viewing, if you're not already part of these efforts, and this is also the work that you're doing, or this would enhance the work that you're doing, please also join into these networks and follow what we're doing here from COP26 online from the various websites and platforms. So with that, thank you again for tuning in. Thank you again, Miro, Helmut, Kate, everyone, my dear colleague to speak soon, right now after me, and to all of you for tuning in these challenging times. Stay well and keep forward the momentum for ACE.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Tim. It's really essential that we listen to the youth voices. On the one hand, those on the street that really make us aware that business as usual is not possible. We need more ambitious, more bold, more disruptive new approaches. And here, youth is important with the capability to envision alternative futures, having new visions of the future. Before giving the word to Shristi, we have scheduled Dr. Alex Wilson from the MECCE project to add some indigenous perspectives on the future of ACE. And here's some background information about Dr. Alex Wilson. Opaskwayak Cree Nation is a professor with the Department of Educational Foundations and director of the Aboriginal Education Research Center at the University of Saskatchewan. She is the co-chair of UNESCO's expert working group in indigenous land-based education and is a MECCE project co-investigator. Dr. Wilson's scholarship has contributed to building and sharing knowledge about indigenous land-based education, two-spirit identity, indigenous research methodologies, and other areas of research and practice. And Dr. Alex Wilson will join us virtually from Canada, and that's also why one of the reasons why we have chosen this format for our side event. There was the option to have the standard big room here, but we said no, when we rethink all of society engagement, we need to use the tools that are available to bring those who are outside, either because they have difficulties to get accreditation, what's not the case today, or if they care because of the carbon footprint, don't want to come. So we need to use digital innovation to bring, to open up the process. It's very often these COPs are like fortresses, people outside at the fences standing, thousands today, again, 10,000 perhaps, saying, hey, deliver, and we here, we are cozy, but we want to bring here really everyone inside. And Dr. Alex Wilson, thanks for being with us. Please share with us your perspectives on what can be done and what needs to be done.
Thank you for that introduction, Miro, and thank you for the opportunity to present here today. Can you confirm that you can see my PowerPoint? Just, can someone confirm that you can see my presentation?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Great. So Tanse, Wasanas and Tisnigasan, Pamaskatapan, Opaskwayak, Ochinina. My name's Alex Olson, and I'm from the Opaskwayak Cree Nation. And the introduction that I gave you in my language states my connection to land, but also the responsibility that goes with that. So I'm going to be talking about how it's important for us to not only validate, but center Indigenous knowledge and peoples in any kind of approach to a new ACE work program in monitoring and also evaluating climate change. As many of you know, every continent that's represented here at COP26, there are Indigenous peoples from those communities. And all of us have, on a global level, felt the impact of climate change. And of course, the consequences of climate change, the negative consequences, have been felt in asymmetrical ways, meaning that the people that are often most impacted by climate change are the ones that are the most marginalized within our countries or within on a global level. And these consequences of climate change are also linked to consequences in any approach that we take to mitigate, understand, and take climate action. So the approaches that we take are really important and key to ensuring that we don't further marginalize the same groups of people who are continually impacted by climate change, and often the people that are on the ground feeling the effects. So there have been colonial policies that have severed our connections to land and our traditional homelands. And these policies have often been linked to educational systems. And so we have an opportunity now to not only validate Indigenous knowledges, but to recenter as a form of inverting hegemony and undoing systemic impacts of not just colonization, but the genocide that has accompanied colonization, and then the severing of our land-based knowledges, also known as epistemicide. And we know on a global level, too, that there's been a huge resurgence, rebirth, and energy associated with Indigenous land-based education. So I'm really glad to be a part of that movement and support anyone who is a part of that. And really at its core, Indigenous land-based education is a form of climate change education. It is a form of climate action. And as the role of education becomes increasingly important in addressing climate change, it is also increasingly important that we recognize and validate Indigenous knowledge. And, you know, in the introduction, the president said that all members must engage in climate action, all members of society. And we know that due to systemic violence, all members have not, to this point, had the opportunity to engage in climate action in the same type of way, although we have been engaging in our own ways as Indigenous people. And that, again, is linking back to you know, movements such as Indigenous Climate Action Network and the Indigenous movement, I Don't Know More also. And then, of course, the resurgence of Indigenous land-based education. So when we're talking about innovation and adaptation, and as Miro said, the need for new conceptual frameworks, sometimes those conceptual frameworks are ancient. And for communities that have been intimately connected for tens of thousands of years to their traditional homelands, it's an opportunity for you to now to center that knowledge and validate that knowledge. So Indigenous knowledges will only strengthen the new ACE work program. And I'd just like to leave all of you with this question. And I really hope that you can address this either in your presentations or in the continued work that you're doing. What are the ways that the ACE program can prioritize, center, and validate Indigenous knowledges as you are redeveloping and reorganizing? And just to leave with this call for case studies by the MECCE project, and here's a real opportunity for you to be involved by highlighting some of the case studies that are innovative, and again, thinking of innovation in the sense that sometimes innovation are land-based solutions that have been engaged with Indigenous knowledge for centuries, and looking at climate justice in a way that disproportionately impacts those that have been continually marginalized by colonization. So if you want more information, you can see the link on the bottom of the page there. And with that, I'll say Kina Naskamat now. Thank you for the opportunity to present here.
Alex, this is really wonderful that we have you with us. It's such a precious added value to have your perspectives, because as you are saying, Indigenous knowledge can really help global society, global community to have better responses to the climate crisis by connecting also better with the nature, with Mother Earth. And so thanks for your perspectives, very much, really very much appreciated. And with this we come now to Shrishti from Nepal, who is talking on behalf of Climates, which is a wonderful youth organization, very innovative, very knowledge-based. In Paris, you have been one of the key players, and also in Marrakesh at the COP22, when we've had our initiative with Tim and Yango and UNESCO, Give Youth a Chance, call for resources for youth climate action. Climates has been one of our partners. And in Austria, we have also Climates Austria, really leaders in the field, and happy to hear from you, Shrishti Adhikari. And Shrishti is Vice President of Climates Nepal, and she is a student completing her bachelor's degree in agriculture science. Her main work focuses on gender and climate change, and we are delighted to have you with us. And you will then also introduce another Climates member who is in a special situation that you will explain.
Okay. Thank you for the introductions. Hello and namaste everyone. Again, myself, I'm Shrishti Adhikari from Nepal, representing Climates. And today I'll be presenting on actions for climate empowerment in practice. So let me start with the introductions of my organization's Climates. So what is Climates and what we do actually? Climates is a local, national, and international think and do tank bringing together volunteers, students, and young professionals around the climate issue. So our members, the mates, disseminate the ideas and ideals with the aim empowering the climate generations. So what are our goals? Our goals are developing and creating the innovative ideas and tools, training the young people to become the agents of change and influencing the decision makers. So we started in the year 2011, and it is the main international branch is in France, and we have the 5 branches now worldwide. They are Nepal, Mali, Indonesia, Austria, and Madagascar, and total around we have plus 500 members around the world in 2021. So here is the next, which is the COP in my city. COP in my city is actually the best program of Climates International. So it is actually a serious game which is simulating the International Summit on Climate Change. So the participants are representing states, cities, and industrial sectors have to reach an agreement that to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions and meet the goal of the Paris Agreement. So it's basically involving the young people, get involved and training them on the climate policies. So it's just a simulating on International Summit on Climate Change, and in 2021 it was done on Climate International, where we have more than 500 participants, and it lasts from 1.5 hours to can be the maximum 3 hours, and it can be accessible to online as well. So now let me introduce myself from the activities of Climates Nepal. So as a young youth, I joined the Climates Nepal in the year 2019 as an art director, and currently I'm playing the role of a vice president of Climates Nepal as well as the international coordinators from the year 2020. So what does this Climates Nepal is doing right now? So activities of Climates Nepal. So we are raising the awareness among the youth on climate policies and awareness. So our main focus is bringing them at the center policy level, and it's the time that their voice should be heard. We have, from the last year, we have started the local conference of the youth, which we call ICLEI, so which we got under the permissions from the younger. So here different workshops, different trainings were given with the different speakers from the different organizations. And the next we have is Local Climate Summit, which we do annually. And on this summit, we have a basic theme. On the basic theme, just like in the year 2020, we had a theme on gender and climate change, and we had the guest speakers from the Mali and Madagascar's, our climate branches. So we try to understand that how is the conditions of genders and climate change in the Mali and Madagascar as well. Because basically, the gender and climates are understood as two different terms. There is always a basic questions from the people that how gender is connected to climate. Does climate differently affects the gender? No, it doesn't affect differently to the gender. But what is that is the policy makers, everything's policy, trainings, everything's are just based on the needs of men. But it's women who are more exposed to environmental activities. That's why climates affect women more than the men. And that's what was the conclusions from that local climate summit. And we found that somehow the situations of Mali and Madagascar was similar to that of Nepal. And we also do workshops on environmental issues. Mainly we do workshops targeting to school-age students so that we can empower them right from their school levels regarding the climate issues. And as I said, we did a local climate summit on gender and climate change. So our baseline project of Climates Nepal is gender and climate change, where we youth try to empower the rural women farmers regarding the sustainable method of farming that can cope up with climate change. So our next is youth demands. So what drives the youth to engage in climate mobilizations then? As a Nepali citizens, as a Nepali youth, we do not have that platform where we can express ourselves. That doesn't mean that youth do not mobilize. Yes, if there is any issues, strike, protests are very common in the case of Nepal. We see a youth doing strikes on any social issues, but what differs is the youth strikes are just limited on the ground floor. The higher authority doesn't listen to us. So it's a time to bring the voice of the youth in the higher authority level as well. So the challenge faced by the mobilizations is, yes, we do mobilize, youth mobilize for the youth, but the challenge is we do not have a platform, we do not have that opportunities to be expressed, to our voice to be heard at the higher authority level. So if we see also, I have heard, the many my colleague speakers talking about COPs and this, that, everything. Yes, it's very good, but in the case of Nepal, among the age of my youth, we do not have heard about COP except the COP21, which was a historical moment. We just have written that COP21 Paris Agreement in our answer sheets. But what about COP22? What about COP23? We don't know. Before coming to COP26, even I didn't know that there was, I thought that COP21 is only something that happens once in a lifetime. But the COP is something that happens annually. It's something I came to know after joining the COP26. So this is the conditions of that we do not have anything assessed, then how our voice can be heard at the higher authority level. But it's a good part that due to the pressures of the youth now, we have the youth delegations this year from Nepal, and I hope that in upcoming days also, not just from government offices, but we have more youth at the central level in the coming days. So the youth demands, what we demand? We demand platforms and opportunity to engage in high-level climate change discussions. We need a platform. We have mobilized. We have come here. We are there for each other. But now it's a time that we need a platform. We need opportunities. We want our voice to be heard. Awareness of the accessibility in the COP, as I said, we don't know about COP, so now it's a time that we need to be aware about COP, and the financial support and funding bodies that enable youth participations in all meaningful discussions. We do not have a basic funding. Even to attend this COP, I'm grateful that Climate Internationals funded me. So even my college or even my government do not funded me. So it's a time that we demand the financial support and funding bodies that enable youth participations. And of course, the government and cooperation must stop using the youth as greenwashing tool. We should not just be used as a greenwashing. Youth should be used in a meaningful way. So thank you for having me here. So I hope in the upcoming days, the youth voice will be heard in a meaningful way. And now I want to, my colleague, Juvention's videos. Unfortunately, he could not be here with us. So he has some message for us. So I want that video to be played.
Hello everyone, my name is Juvention. I'm a climate activist from Haiti. I'm 24 years old and I'm also studying law at State University of Haiti. And as you might know it, I was formerly part of the delegation of climates for COP26, but unfortunately I couldn't join the team on site due to visa issues. This is not a formal presentation to a meeting of climate today. This is just a short presentation of myself as I was asked. And as a climate activist in Haiti, I got involved since 4 years in the youth movement in Haiti. And also, actually, I'm leading a project which helps to raise awareness of people in Haiti in terms of climate change. And as a climate activist, I think that climate education is pivotal for young people in Haiti, and I think that is really important. As I said, it's really important to educate people, as we are one of the most affected countries by climate change in the world. And finally, I wish an amazing meeting to climate team at COP26 today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Marius. Greetings to Haiti. And it's really an example how there are young people, wonderful young people, passionate young people all around the world who want to contribute to the COP, and there are huge needs to build the bridges to connect these people on the ground with global processes and also the COP. And here, Shristi, thank you very much. Your presentation was super. Really, I love climates, your knowledge-based approach, your strategic approach, really looking at the needs, the drivers, the bottlenecks, and having clear demands, because that's what very often missing at the protests. Because it's really a lot of social energy that is mobilized with Fridays for Futures protests, and so but it's a wave of energy that comes and goes away because it's not clear what should we do now. And Climates is here exceptionally good organization, really saying, tack, 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 that's what we want to achieve, and that's the way to do. And ACE is your partner. ACE program is the entry point, the gate through which the UNFCCC can communicate, national governments can communicate with youth, and our structures that I've presented before, the United Citizens Organization for Action for Climate Empowerment and our resource mobilization innovation for ACE, they will help you to succeed and to reach more people and to provide the necessary means so that youth climate action empowerment will be possible. And with this, I'm delighted to welcome Emmanuel Tachie-Obeng from the Ghana Environmental Agency, ACE focal point in Ghana, who is Ghana a leader in Action for Climate Empowerment. There was the Regional African Climate Week 2019, where ACE was a top topic. And please tell us about your work and how this ties into the COP27 preparations also, which will be held in Africa.
Yeah, thank you very, very much, Myros, and very happy to see you here.
Yes, I'm also delighted.
Yeah, I'm also grateful to be invited to your program. And the reason why I'm here is to support you to make sure that we mobilize funds globally for implementation of ACE, because ACE has been deficient of funds. If you look at the Doha Work Program, among others, funds has been a very big issue. So currently, we are reviewing the Doha Work Program, making sure that we leave here with a Glasgow Work Program with implementation, a special fund that will support ACE. And that is for the government side. We are here to team up the party, which is the government, together with the non-party stakeholders, like your organization, to also mobilize funds for implementation of ACE. Because looking at Ghana, for instance, Ghana, in 2016, we developed our ACE learning strategy. And we have 13 climate change learn actions. And I'm telling you, we've only implemented only 3. And even the 3, the most important thing we did is, 1, we instituted Climate Change Week, where every year, but even this year, last year, we couldn't have money to implement it because of funds. We have integrated climate change into school curricula. We have actually integrated climate change into primary school, integrated climate change into junior high. We've trained about 2,000 teachers, but that is not enough, because you see, the teachers actually don't have the climate change know-how. So we need more funds to make sure that enough teachers have been trained so that they really impact the indicators of the syllabus into the children. But this has been impossible because we've not been able to train enough teachers. We've prepared teaching and learning materials, but we don't even have money to print them. So it is very, very, very good initiative for Ghana and Africa to join hands with GLOCHA, especially under your digital global ACE platform, to really mobilize funds. Yes. So I'm speaking to the whole community, the global community, to come to support us, both the private and everybody, to support ACE. ACE is climate change, education, training, and public awareness. Because when you talk about climate change training, capacity building, and public awareness, it means understanding climate change concept. And even if a farmer is able to understand what climate change is, half of the problem is gone. Because if he understands it, then he can even use his own natural way to solve the problem. So in short, what I'm saying is we need funds for implementation of climate change education, training, and public awareness. And this has been also very, very important because next year, Africa is hosting the COP. And because of that, we want to team up with you so that this Africa COP will be a COP for climate change, education, training, and public awareness, to create more awareness so far as climate change is concerned within Africa, and to be able to also make sure that we implement our national actions. We've developed, the Doha Work Program has requested that to develop national actions, but we have not been able to implement them. So I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be invited here to support you to mobilize funds for implementation of ACE. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. It's such a pleasure to have you with us and to hear also your perspectives showing that it's needed, rethinking and reorganizing ACE, and that resources are at the core. If we really set the right mechanisms in place, then there will be a really all of society climate action and more effective response to the climate crisis. And really the COP27 is an opportunity to get on the next level. We've had this year Italy as a co-presidency of the COP, which looked then especially on youth empowerment with the Youth for Climate event in Milan, end of September, where Italian presidency, co-presidency brought 400 young people from 200 countries to provide input and social energy for the COP. But next year at the COP27, we want to partner, we want to contribute, that there will be even a stronger ACE component, and we hope that Ghana, the national and non-party stakeholder players in Ghana will be our partners, that we will have a strong youth empowerment component, a strong digital innovation component, and a strong virtual participation component, that we will have the resources to bring their internet access. We have solutions for satellite-based internet access and capacity building programs, that there will be really this global community, which is not limited by access to the internet or by access to resources. Because if there are effective climate action wherever they are in the world, it's adding to our wealth, to our shared, more stable future wherever we are. And really, this is the top priority, and more people are ready to invest in these areas, and we will provide the means that this will be possible in a transparent, participatory way. And the United Citizens Organization for Action for Climate Empowerment, this will be the vehicle co-owned by everyone, and where people will be able to contribute also for ACE in Ghana. So that's great, and with this we come to another perspective from Latin America, from Danae Espinosa, the ACE co-focal point, ICOS co-focal point, and also a leader for a Latin American Youth Climate Action Network, CLIC. And we have a video message from Danae, so please, if we could hear it, see it.
Good morning to all of you there in Glasgow. My name is Danae Espinosa. I'm from Mexico City. I'm an ECOS community member, and today I will share with you a Latin American perspective for ACE implementation. As you all know, Action for Climate Empowerment is integrated by 6 elements. These elements are climate change education, training, public awareness, public access to information, public participation, and international cooperation. From my perspective, I perceive that Action for Climate Empowerment could be implemented because we have enough tools to do it, legal tools to do it, as the Escazú Agreement. So the Escazú Agreement was ratified this year in 2021 on April 22. So the Escazú Agreement has marked a milestone in the story of the Latin American and Caribbean region, because we are a region who has the highest numbers of people that are disappearing and also losing their lives, given that they are defending their territories and the nature. In the case of Action for Climate Empowerment and the Skassuaq movement, they complement each other in two very important areas of climate justice: access to information and public participation. The element of ACE related with public access to information seeks to guarantee public access to information and related data on good practices, climate change initiatives, policies, and results of actions, so that the public can understand and respond to climate change. This is in coherence with the Skassuaq agreement, and in one article, that is the Article 5 of this agreement. The article of the Skassuaq agreement is on relation to access to environmental information, that states that each country shall guarantee the right to the public access to environmental information in their possession, under their control or custody, in accordance with the principle of maximum publicity, and marks in different fractions how to carry out access to information in the region. It also identifies, well, this article, it also identifies cases in which access to information could be denied, as well as the conditions that apply to the provision of environmental information. This is entirely linked with Action for Climate Empowerment with this component. And also with public participation, ensures the public participation in the region. So these two, the program and also the Skassuaq agreement will be working together in coherence in our region. I would like also to talk about what about access to information is, because as you know, Action for Climate Empowerment is mostly in English, and some of the documents has been translated in Spanish and also in French. That was the case of the document. The guidelines, by the way, not the ACE guidelines, was the guide to how to put ACE or integrate ACE in the NDCs made by UNESCO. And they translated in Spanish and in English. But other regions need also to get access to this information in their own languages and also in the official languages of the United Nations. Indigenous peoples are also crucial for the ACE implementation in their territories because they have a lot of activities, they have a lot of data that could be a statistic to see how Action for Climate Empowerment is currently applied without knowing that it's ACE, but it's implemented in our region. So for local communities, it will be fantastic to be integrated in the ACE work. So this could provide also enough data and a monitoring perspective and a monitoring place for Action for Climate Empowerment. On this, in their process, on this COP, and also road to 2022 in June. So to close my participation today, I would like to emphasize the importance to have a marketplace for ACE. ACE need finance. So my call is to work on that and to find solutions to finance ACE. And also because in Latin American region, the MDBs, banks, we have enough entities that could work to implement ACE with the parties and also with non-party stakeholders. So these efforts are needed for the correct implementation for Action for Climate Empowerment. And Action for Climate Empowerment is holistic. So beyond education, there are other elements that have to be implemented. I would like to wish you a nice weekend, and also I send you all patience and a lot of good vibes from Mexico there at COP26.
Thank you very much, Danae. It's very important, your points that you've made also regarding linguistic diversity that's needed in the process of global community, because otherwise we are excluding huge amounts of global family, and that's unacceptable. And thanks for all the work that you are doing in your region. And as I've been informed that we don't have any questions or comments from the virtual audience, I would introduce now the concluding round with the panelists, starting with Kate and Alex, if you are online, perhaps also just immediately after Kate, then Emmanuel, and then Shristi, and then we will soon find an end. Kate, please.
Thank you, Miro. I guess just to conclude, I'd like to reiterate the point about collaboration in working towards the new ACE program. I think I've been asked several times during this week by people at home and by people here who aren't in at the COP, what's it like in there, and how are people working, and are people trying hard? And I guess I'd just like to reassure and reaffirm how much energy and urgency and extraordinary collaboration is being undertaken here between member parties and non-member party delegates. And I think that mirrors what happens beyond the COP as well. And I think it speaks to what's required in terms of monitoring and evaluation for ACE, so the work of the MECCE project specifically, but it also speaks to the broader ACE agenda. And I guess to reassure everyone that that's very much what we're seeing inside here at the COP26 in Glasgow. So thank you, Miro.
Thank you very much, Kate. Alex, are you online?
Yes, I am.
Please share your thoughts.
Yes, I'd just like to thank all of you for the work that you're doing. And, I know that you're all here as representatives of your collective communities. So just to commend everyone on that work, but also a reminder that we need to ensure that the approaches and frameworks that we take on do not further entrench neoliberalism, and so that one way to do that is by validating Indigenous knowledge, and not just validating, but centering Indigenous knowledge and recognizing the harms that colonialism have done. And then I just want to kind of support what the delegate from Mexico just said, in that sometimes people are doing the work and it's not recognized. So to look for ways to recognize the work that people are doing in community, in particular youth and in Indigenous communities. Now, thank you.
Thank you very much, Alex. Emmanuel.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I would like to stress on the importance of climate change education, training, and public awareness. But funding mechanism is not available. So I would like to appeal to the whole global community to support GLOCHA, to be able to liaise with parties of Africa and Ghana to mobilize funds to implement our climate change land actions towards our activities in COP27. Thank you.
Excellent, perfect. And Shristi, please.
All I will like to say is it's a time to have a youth voice at the central policy level. Let's empower the next generation. Thank you.
Very beautiful. Now, and this brings us to the end of our official COP26 side event, Rethinking and Reorganizing Action for Climate Empowerment. In our understanding, it's the most important event of this COP, so because the topic is so important, and we are delighted that we've been able to share with you perspectives from all continents, and also with our partners that we will work on in the context of COP26. Thanking again the co-organizers, MECCE projects, Global Youth Development Institute, Climates, and the Austrian government. And also a great thank you to the technicians, Spike and his team here. It's really extraordinary what you are doing here, and that's the way to go, really becoming more virtual, and this will reduce also the carbon footprint of holding this coordination on global climate action. It's needed because it's also unacceptable, the carbon footprint of the COP as it is. We have to rethink it. And thanks also to Salka from UK COP26 presidency, who is really working hard to get everyone engaged to listen to these new ideas. And there's hope, because there are people like ours. We will not give up. So all the best. Greetings from Glasgow.